Hello and welcome to the development screencast for the game Shards, developed by me, Elmér, for the course TDDD23. Shards is a 2D platformer game with the main idea being to collect shards, avoid traps and get to the end. I am going to very quickly, because I'm very used to the controls and levels in this game, play through it from beginning to end, and then I'm going to play it a bit slower and talk through aspects that I think are interesting. So I'm going to do a very quick speed run. It will take around 1.5 minutes. So here we go. So there we are. That is a very quick playthrough, and as you can see, I am fairly quick with it, but I'll now go through it a little bit slower and talk through things. I'm going to say the background music is usually louder, but I lowered it for this development screencast so you can easily hear me. So let's start again. So it's a fairly standard opening. There's just a play and a quit option. So we'll click play. In the corner here we have the score, which will increase with each shard we collect, and we have our health bar. The health bar is generally going to go down 1, 2, 3 times before you're dead. So it starts at this green, it'll go to yellow, and then it'll go to red. I've designed the game in a way that I hope is very pick up and play friendly, so that the player learns while they're playing. So in this case we have the ability, for example, to fall down, but you will be fine and go back to the latest checkpoint. This is by using a fall detector, and the player can then jump, collect these objects, and these spikes here you should definitely avoid, but if you're not able to do that, then you will be hurt. There's a sound, there's an animation, and an immediate reaction over here. So we'll continue on, a little bit slower this time. Here there are 2 options of what way to go. You can fall down right here and jump immediately, or you can go around. Since I went around, I pretty much ignored it last time, I'll show you that I can do this. And again we avoid the spikes and we get to the end. And as soon as we touch this, this is another collision based method. So all the things such as getting injured, picking up shards, or getting to the next level is all based on collisions in an on trigger 2D method. So we'll move on to the next one. Here we have some boxes for the first time. These boxes, as you can see, I can't really do anything about them. Nothing is happening. I can take up my spell book here, and well, I don't really have anything. Okay, let's move over to the next level, and here we get our little first power-up scroll. So we grab it, and our spell book opens up, and we can see, oh, double jump. We're now able to double jump by pressing the button twice. We can close it again, and we can indeed double jump. Last I showed you how to, in my little speedrun, use these moving platforms. They're a little bit more difficult and a bit more timing based, so we can take this other alternate path. The idea with the alternate paths is you can technically take both of them by either going that way or this way first and then going back. So you can collect all shards because there are 2 shards up here, as you might remember from before. Yeah, so we can move on to our last stage. So in the last stage we have moving objects that can damage us. So we have these spike balls. They work similarly to the spike traps from before, just that they're moving. And like before, we have these moving platforms which, when you stand on them, you are able to walk around as per usual, even fall off, and you're able to jump off them as well, best you want. And this works by having well, 2 colliders. One collider is the main object, which just makes it so you don't fall through, while there's another collider that is trigger on top, which makes it so that, you can see here, right now when I'm on here, I'm on one of the moving platforms, and you see that there's no player here. That is because I, as a player, you can see me here, and when I jump on top of one of these platforms, I will become a child of that platform. So now I'm in here, I believe. I don't remember exactly where I am right now, but I become a child of the current platform that I'm on, which will allow me to jump on it, but also not fall off if it's moving horizontally. And similar to like before, if I pick up this scroll, it will give me some information, and I'm then able to destroy these boxes. The boxes have a particle system on them, which allows them to emit this little animation, and at the same time, the attack animation never happens unless I am touching a box. So we can go down to one of these. Sometimes it's a little janky, but thankfully it works. Then there are some areas which are a little bit more skill based. So here, for example, is a rather tricky bit, because if you don't time it, then you are going to end up hitting it in the face. But yeah. So similar to how you should before, it's also possible to double jump this if you would want to skip taking the whole roundabout way, but I decided not to do that. So the point here is to try and avoid these obstacles and get to the end. So here we're going to hit our end, and you're going to hear a little bit of a tune. So you see we have a 14 here in our score. and here we have our 14. And this allows us to either go back to the main menu or quit the game. Here we are. And if you were to play again, you will see that it's reset entirely. So that's the main function of, that's the main game. That's how it works and what parts are in it. I'm just very quickly going to show the more interesting bits of code. So as I mentioned, I have in the player some fall detection. I have some particle systems for I have some particle systems, some damage output work, and some double jumping effects. I have my sound effects and my UI, and most of the code is based on trigger and TDD methods. So I'm comparing the tags of the objects that that the player is colliding with, and changing things like the respawn position, moving on to the next scene. I'm also constantly keeping track of how many points I have in the current level. So if I am to die on the level I'm currently at and respawn at the beginning again of the level, since everything's being reset from that level, I can remove this score current level from the total. When it comes to damage, there are two different types of damage you can take, from either spikes or spike balls. The only real difference is the velocity in which you are moved away from it. There's also for the scrolls, being able to set whether you are actually able to do something or not. So that is done here, as well as calling on the spellbook to show up and set everything as active for a moment, so you can look at what you are now able to do. The run function and jump function are constantly being called in the update method, and will check whether the player is trying to jump or not. And this is fairly simplistic. The jump is the only thing that is really affected by anything outside of the jump function itself. So it will check whether I am actually able to double jump, so whether I've grabbed the scroll or not. And if so, then I am allowed to move on and double jump again, or jump again. The hurt function mentioned before in the spikes is a eye enumerator, just for the sake of allowing the player to be invulnerable for a few moments before they're able to be hurt again. And this is just so that if you stand on the spike, you're not going to repeatedly take damage. Instead, you can stand on the spike for a few moments before you are hurt again. And I could actually showcase that really quick. Not playing the entire game here, but I'm just going to take the first level. We're just going to get ourselves over to spike here. So I can get injured, and it takes a few seconds, so I can get off it. Camera controller is very simple, standard. It follows the player. Background music is on the first scene, and then just continues with not being destroyed on load. And there's a script for all the UI elements on the beginning screen and end screen, just to reset things and allow you to quit. The spellbook, as showed quickly before, just allows you to see or not see the spellbook. there is a function for the health bar, which just makes it scaled and sets the color of it depending on how injured you are. Scoring keeps track of the total score at the current level, which we can remove if you are to reload the level, your health, whether you're allowed to double jump or break crates. The platforms, as mentioned before, will look at whether the player is colliding with it, and if so, then it will make the player a child of itself, so that you aren't sliding off and staying put when the platforms are moving. Platforms and spike pools are working on a waypoint follower, so it will check whether it is closest to one or the other and move towards the one it's closest to up until a point where it will then switch and start moving towards the other one. The crates all have a breakable crate script attached to them, which just keeps track of whether the player is touching them, whether you're allowed to break the crates, and if you're pressing E or not. And this will activate a mission module, so it will go ahead and play the particle system animation, and it will also call on an instance of the simple player controller to make the attack animation play. It will then take a few seconds, so it will show the entire particle emission before it will destroy the game object. And then at the end, there's just a simple script to show you your final score. And that is my game and the basics of it. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope it was educational.